I love writing. It's an interesting activity for me. I began to write as far back as the age of 12. I remember writing a story which frightened me at the end. It is funny anyway, but I was so consumed that I wrote this story. And at the end, when I was reading it, I was frightened because of the content. The story then had to do with the evil bush, in Africa. So since then, I have picked up and I've developed that interest in writing, not just stories, but poems. I get my inspiration from a number of things. One, the society, what happens in the society, because some of my poems and stories are political. Some others have to do with family life, relationship, love, broken relationship, reconciliation. I get my inspiration, also from things that happen in the religious world. Basically, human existence gives me the inspiration to write. Life without walls. I have been in this avenue, a residential area, for a month now. Every day I see children leave their parents' apartments, go over to other apartments, and call out their peers for play, for games. As I watch these children, I cannot help but admire their innocent and humble lives. They build no walls, they create no barriers between themselves and peers. Rather, they mingle and share their humanity. On the contrary, the adults are filled to the brim with ego and self-importance. They erect walls thicker than the ones that hold their apartments. Truly, this world would be a better place if grown-ups had children's sensibilities. Alright, it's not an easy activity anyway. The thought comes to me, I zero in on it, use my imagination a lot, get some papers and begin to write. Usually I write the first draft and make some corrections, and sometimes do a rewrite. Sometimes, after the corrections, I just go ahead and type and send off the things like poems to the Gleaner company in Jamaica. Technology. You have been man's companion for long, though some think you are new. Man reasons and thinks deeply, then you appear in his mind. He creates you. You jump from conceptualization to realization. You aid him and make life better, easier and more comfortable. Some become so attached to you that they grow cold to their own kind. Some put you to noble use, but others use you to achieve their criminal, immoral and deadly aims. I've written a number of stories, about 20, to be precise. Some of these stories are based on, things that happened while I was in Africa, in Nigeria specifically, growing up. I took just a few episodes and I had to, add, twist a number of things. I had to use my imagination to build, stories. Some of them, actually deal with relationships. Some of them deal with, political power. Some of them deal with, the economic situation. Some of them deal with, the challenges that man has to face in order to make it in life, the daily activities. I have a story that is based on my childhood experience. That story is entitled The Pet. I was 8 years old, and I wanted to own a pet. I was very desirous of that, and so one day I heard, the sound of a squirrel in the woods around, and so I went in search of it, and eventually I found her, just a small squirrel, crying. Apparently the mother had left her, so I was glad to see her. So I took her up and went home, and then created some kind of a board, some kind of pen, put it that way, or something for her. And because I was excited and actually fascinated by the whole thing and by the fact that I had gotten a pet, I began to feed her every minute. Even when she was hungry, when she was not hungry, I would just feed her, and one day the pet died. After being overfed, it shivered and died. It seemed as if I had lost somebody. I cried, inconsolably. My parents tried to, console me. I fell on the ground, crying, rolling on the ground, and I took it to heart. I also have written some poems that are actually, humorous, some hilarious poems. The Tragedy of Mr. Philpott. This is a poem. Mr. Philpott found a spot where he smoked a lot rather than go home to eat of the pot. Because he enjoyed smoking a lot, he forgot the message he got for his wife, Mrs. Philpott. Anyway, he worried not, for he had a plot to slip into his cot, for he called his cottage a cot. But his wife got him on the spot and beat him into a dot, giving his brain a clot. So I made a jot of the incident involving Mr. Philpott. So it's an activity that I enjoy. I love to use my imagination a lot, and writing lends itself to that sort of thing. So this is basically how I do it.